Welcome back, friends. I decided it was time for another cleaning video. This time I decided to go a little more in depth, so if you enjoy more of a whole house cleaning video, then this is the one for you. I actually started out, it's funny, it's a cleaning video, but I needed to make some caramel sauce for my cinnamon rolls that I made you would have seen in the last video. I actually threw those in the freezer, and then when I was able to pick up more whipping cream, then I made the caramel sauce for the topping. So that's what I start out with. I have to really watch it with these cinnamon rolls because they're the kind that you just want to devour and have like for snack every day, multiple times a day, and then have before bed. Or maybe it's just a pregnancy thing, but I have thoroughly been enjoying them. Trying to not have more than like one snack time be the cinnamon rolls, but it helps to throw them in the freezer because that way it's a little harder to get to them. So I literally freeze them in sections and stuff, if I'm being honest. I actually think I like doing a caramel sauce on cinnamon rolls as opposed to frosting because the caramel sauce soaks into it and then it's really, really yummy when you heat it up. I love to have like a collagen coffee or something with it, and it makes for the best snack. I also liked using allulose for the sweetener for this because then you don't have all the gastric stuff, going on when you use the erythritol, which some people say it bothers their stomach. Other people, it gives them bad gas, that kind of thing. So anyways, I liked allulose. It worked pretty good for this one. We just recently got a new lid for my little girl's bottle because her old lid had a crack in it and it kept leaking, and you can imagine her bedding because sometimes she'll go to bed. I'll give her a bottle and just let her go to bed with that, and then you'd come in and it would have leaked everywhere. So that's kind of gross. But I decided it was time to swap out the bed cover that we have. Yeah, it was high time. Even though I've washed it every once in a while, there were still it kind of looked gross, and we've had it for a couple years, so I'm like, we'll keep it as a backup. When it gets closer to my delivery date, maybe I'll do that trick where you put bedding on the bed and then you cover it with the mattress cover, and then you put on another layer of bedding. So essentially, if you go into labor when you're at night or your water breaks, then you just take off the top two layers, and then you have a fresh set of sheets for when you come back after having had the baby. Anyways, I pulled out the kids' beds because I wanted to vacuum behind them. It's always amazing how the dust accumulates here. And of course, I'm always keeping an eye out for spiders. We really don't have a lot of spiders here, at least in the house. There aren't a ton. I know there's a bunch of spiders you typically see in the desert, but actually when I was moving my son's crib, I discovered one of those little, I think they're kind of like we like to call them blanksters in our house, but essentially just actually a good size roach. It was just sitting on like a backpack under his bed, and I was like, quick, grab the vacuum. It was really gross. Just recently, my husband went around the house and really got things sealed up and stuff, and so we haven't had near as many of those coming in, but there was a period where it seemed like I was catching so many of them on sticky traps, which I felt very successful, but at the same time I would imagine like them all crawling around the floor at night, which was kind of gross. Apparently we also hadn't cleaned the filters on our cooler, our heating and cooling system, and so typically I'd pull them out and wash them and stuff, but this time I just thought I would just vacuum them real quick. And it was super satisfying to be able to clean all the dust off. We had actually noticed it seemed like they weren't working as good, and then once we pulled out the vacuum and just vacuumed all the dust off, then it was amazing how they were suddenly way colder, which has been nice because we suddenly got a heat wave. It's funny saying a heat wave in the desert, but we suddenly got like more in the 90s. The temperature's been getting pretty hot, and so it's really nice to have that working like normal again. There are some days where I just do the bare minimum and other days where I feel like I can take on extra. And so I was very, very thankful to be able to just feel like I had more energy so I could take care of some of these areas. Things really build up and collect, and so I was kind of itching to get to some of these areas, like here by the back door by the washer and dryer, and just really tidy things up. This table is like our kind of catch-all, which it's amazing how quickly, once I clear things off, how quickly things build up again. But hey, I guess sometimes, when you're coming in the house, you have your arms full of stuff, or we're working on projects and there's tools and different things, I tend to move them out of the main area of the house and I'll set them back here, and then they kind of rest there until they're moved to their next home. But this was another situation where I was trying to just clean out from underneath and move stuff around, tidy things up, and then I discovered another one of those roaches. But I wasn't fast enough. I tried to catch him, vacuum him, but we did catch him later on a sticky trap a few days later, which felt very, very good. Just cleaning in general often gives you that just a really nice sense of accomplishment, which it's nice knowing that, it may sound silly, but it's nice knowing that, there's the corners are cleaned, and especially because obviously you guys see, I don't clean behind a lot of the furniture or different things all the time. And so whenever I go and do it, it's always really, really nice just knowing there aren't bugs or spiders or stuff in the corners. It's kind of funny with having such nice weather. I haven't hardly used the dryer, and so I was a bit surprised to see how much lint was on the lint trap. But it's really nice to be able to hang stuff out, but also to have the option of the dryer if I need something dried really quick, like the kids' bedding or something. I do like to have 2 sets of their bedding on hand, so if there's a mishap or something in their bed, then we can just swap it out real quick. But there are times for sure where maybe it's their favorite blanket or something that gets soiled, and then you just want to quick wash it so they can have it before bed or whatever. Do you guys find that your washer gets really grimy quite often? I mean, it kind of makes sense. You're throwing dirty clothes into it, and so there's things that are going to fall off. Or if you're treating clothes, at least for me, usually I treat the stains right around the washer. So I'm spraying the solution on the clothes, and the spray, you get spray like on the washer, and then I guess as you throw the dirty clothes in, like dirt or grime residue kind of like rubs off. And I don't know, sometimes I'm just like, how does it get so dirty? But at the same time, it's like, okay, I guess, yeah, kind of makes sense. Next thing I wanted to do was to get into this corner. It's one of those places I feel like there's always got to be bugs and stuff hanging out. So I was very happy to get back in there. There wasn't a lot of dust, surprisingly. But this is where we store a lot of our paint from working on house projects, just because if we keep it in the shed, in the wintertime, it gets down to freezing and it gets ruined anyways. Yeah, that's just a side note. While I was vacuuming, I decided to get into the fridge and just vacuum the loose fragments that kind of float around in the bottom of the fridge. So that's, I know, kind of random. What's really crazy? We put this flooring in, maybe like a year ago. Actually, maybe a year and a half. Anyways, they put it down over the old porch. It used to be a outside porch, which somebody else enclosed it before we got the house. But some of the nails in the porch floor are working their way up, and you can actually see them pushing up through the vinyl flooring that we put in, which is really sad. I'm like, you can see it starting to crack, and it's a huge, huge bummer. But I mean, just to see the new flooring starting to crack because the nails are protruding up. But I guess on the bright side, at some point we'll have to replace it. And then they say the gray tones are going out, so maybe it'll be more authentic to the rest of the house to have the darker wood. I did take our pillows outside to air them out for a bit. And then I took all the bedding out and got that hanging up. it always dries really fast, which is super, super helpful, especially when you're working on projects and you want to keep making progress. You know, you can put stuff out to dry, do something else, come back, and it's usually dry. Not going to complain about that. Whenever I go to clean the toilet, I often have to hurry when it comes to cleaning the toilet bowl, because I got little helpers that they love to get into the middle of whatever I'm doing, and honestly, it's not like the place you really want little ones hanging out, because they got their little hands and, you know, they're going to grab on the toilet bowl. And anyways, I was able to get that taken care of before they discovered what I was doing. And then I went over to the tub, and it was actually, I'm surprised I forgot that I had I forgot that I had these magic eraser type cleaning pads, which I'm sure they're toxic and horrible for you. But the speed at which stuff came off was like amazing. You literally just get it wet and then start rubbing. I think I almost used a sponge up, like demolished it, like by the time I was done with this. And you'll see in a clip here before too long, I tried to do it so you guys could see, like I tried to clean with the line so you could see the difference between where I had cleaned and hadn't, and it was like night and day. I was like, wow, this is gross. Who knew it could get so dirty? Oh my word. Anyways, it was nice to get it cleaned up, and thankfully, like I said, it didn't take a ton of energy to clean it out. Sometimes when you get into the tub and scrub it, it's just exhausting. I know I had some really, really great tips last time I talked about this. That was fun to see the different suggestions, but this time around I just used the magic eraser. I was like, let's just give it a try, and it actually went really fast. But we ended up having to run to town, take care of some things. And while we were out, I was like, why not just go ahead and get to our grocery shopping for the week? So let me show you what I got. So I've been making some food for some people, so I grabbed these to make it a little easier for getting them their little snacks and stuff. Needed a twin sheet. My dad's coming to visit, so needed that. Got this for our bed. We needed a fresh one. Picked up some of these rice cakes. Our oven's out, so I picked up this bread because we'll need that for sandwiches and tea.
Please.
Put the garbage. Grab these chips. My husband wanted these. These are the kind of chips that I like to eat. Grabbed my husband one of these. We went through a lot of bacon cocoa. My husband also requested those, so that was his. Picked up this for baking and sweetened stuff. I really like using this for baking lately. It's mostly allulose, so that's a great sugar substitute. Cheese, we needed some of that. This is for kefir and yogurt. The 0% milk is for kefir and yogurt. And then for the little girl, got some okra. We use that in shakes like every day. Frozen strawberries, needed some napkins. Nuts, because I'm enjoying eating these for snacks and stuff. Some mushrooms, they've already gotten into those. And some applesauce packets. I picked up some fresh, whatever these are, peppers. Some lettuce. We still have a bunch of veggies, so I didn't really need to buy a ton of that. I like to get these to have on hand for days I'm feeling uninspired or want to eat a good snack. I like to melt cheese, do quesadillas, stuff like that. We were out of our peanut butter, so got this one. Needed more maple extract. I like to put that in coffee. Grab peaches for my husband. He wanted some of those. And then some oranges. And then last of all, grab some of this for me. And then for my husband, some chocolate ice cream. So that was our grocery haul. It cost about $200. It's kind of a lot. But I'm thankful we have the money to be able to buy it though. We had quite the full day, and I was feeling pretty exhausted, but we still needed to make the bed. So my husband was really, really thoughtful and came and helped. It's kind of funny because I was looking at this footage and I was like, I wonder how many husbands help their wives like making the bed. But it was very much appreciated because I was pretty tired and I was just trying to just get things done real quick at this point. Like we need to get the beds made, get the food put away. As you'll see here pretty soon, get the laundry brought in. So it was very, very nice to have his help to finish up some of these things that you can't exactly just leave. You know, you can't just forget about the kids' beds and stuff like that or leave the laundry on the line. It was actually really, really, really windy. So I don't think I've ever seen the laundry this tangled up. There's 5 lines on this clothesline and they were wrapped up so tight. There were some at the end. I was like, what in the world? Like my husband, I was like, you can figure this one out. Cause he was like, I'll do it. So I'm like, okay. But some of them were so tangled up. It was crazy. It definitely made it a whole lot easier to do some of these things with him there helping out. So I really appreciated that. This actually turned into a 2-day project because there were still some areas that I had wanted to go after. It's kind of like, I don't know, there's a certain part in pregnancy where you just kind of get hit with, I don't know if nesting is the word, but I kind of get inspired to just clean stuff. And I don't know, it's weird because for me it usually hits around like 26 weeks, 28 weeks, but I'm only like 24 weeks now. So I was like, what's the deal with this? But I felt like I had the energy once again on the following day. So I was like, let's just get some of these things done while I feel like I can. It's not like they were super strenuous, but it's more, I just have to be careful to measure myself so I don't go too crazy when I feel good. It sounds funny, but it is possible to go crazy when you're when you're pregnant. Basically what I'm trying to say is trying to not overdo it and just, do a big push of energy and then just, destroy myself for the next couple hours or next day or two, because that usually happens if I work too hard. Try to get too much done, then I'm out for like a day or two, which isn't fun. I absolutely love these doors that they came with the house, and they're one of my favorite things about the house actually, apart from the wood floors, the original wood floors. The doors are one of my favorite things, even though every once in a while you have to go and wipe them down and just clean off the dust because the dust collects on the top of those decorative pieces. But honestly, I don't mind. They are one of my favorite things for sure. Okay, so for this vanity, I've contemplated painting it. Since the top part is kind of cream colored, I've been debating. I don't want to paint it white. I know that for sure. Anyways, I'm trying to decide if I should paint it like a greenish color, like what we have in our bedroom, kind of a mossy green, or what to do with it, because I'm dying to do something with it. I just don't know what. I feel like the bathroom could definitely use some color because the only color in it really is the brown of the vanity. But anyways, it's not one of the biggest projects right now. Some point maybe I'd love to do something, especially with the mirror that's above it as well, like kind of the medicine type cabinet mirror. Anyways, I was just trying to give everything a good quick wipe down and get things cleaned up. So since our oven went out, I'm gonna use this thing. It was actually a wedding gift. I'm gonna attempt to make some triple chocolate banana bread in this. We'll see if it works out. So Durkee, put this in here. Here. Let me first make sure my pan, let's see if the pan fits.
No. Oh.
Okay, that one is too big. I may need to turn this into squares and then I can bake it in there. Let me try something else. Ah, that'll work. So I'm gonna put it in this little pan. I know it's terrible using aluminum. I'll probably line it with parchment paper first. Durkee, this goes in here. But let's see how it turns out. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat this. I just turned the timer on for 30 minutes so it can get nice and up to temp, and then set it for 350. So let's go ahead and make the main part. You ready? My little guy, he used to eat bananas. Like every morning, that was the first thing he wanted. Like right after we'd get him up in the morning, he'd be like heading to the counter to go see if there was a banana. But lately he hasn't really been into them. So because of that, I had a whole bunch of these bananas. They were super ripe, except for one. It was super odd. I had gotten it in my Walmart pickup order, and I don't even know, it was the greenest banana, and I had it for like a week or two, and it just did not change at all. So I ended up using it. It was ready, but it was really hard to get the skin off. It was I don't know, it was one of those weird ones. Anyways, the rest of the bananas were in the perfect condition to use for this bread. I really like this bread because it's really, really moist and just absolutely delicious. Very decadent, especially with using the black cocoa powder. It's super, super tasty. The first time I made it, I did it in the blender because I thought, well, there's the oat flour and I needed to grind up oats. So I was like, I'll just go ahead and mix everything up in the blender. But that was really hard because it was a very thick batter. So this time I decided to use my Cuisinart, and it turned out a whole lot better. What I was just saying in that one clip was that it called for oat flour, and I know some people are kind of confused about that, but essentially you can just take rolled oats and blend them up in your blender to get the equivalent of oat flour. It's actually really funny. I found that I've grabbed pieces of this bread to take with me when I'm running out. And then I'm like, what am I doing? Because here I've got like black stuff all over my teeth and mouth. And like when we were in church, I was like, honey, do I have black stuff on my teeth? That's when you want to have pieces of gum in your purse, I guess. I didn't even worry about measuring the chocolate chips. I just put some on the top and then smudged them into the batter. And then I added another layer on the top because there's nothing like biting into basically a brownie with chocolate chips in it. I think it's one of the best things ever. So I put in this little convection oven, and then halfway through I did rotate it and turn it around. And then when it was done, you're supposed to let it sit in the oven for like 10 minutes. So I just left it in the convection oven just to firm up, and I'll show you guys at the end of the video. was kind of amazing the amount of dirt that there was underneath this changing table. I was very surprised at the hard bits of dried food that were under there. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because the kids eat right next to it. So if stuff falls and then it gets knocked or something, then it can, you know, disappear under there. So that's another one of those where I was like, this feels so good to get this cleaned out. Gotta get all the food off the floor so if there are any bugs in the house, there's nothing for them to survive on. Something I find really fascinating is just seeing how other people do things. And I was just thinking I might be kind of weird because I like to keep a little hamper for my girls' clothes under the dresser. But when it comes to diapers, I don't like having a separate container for diapers. We just put it into the main household garbage, which goes out on a regular basis. But I just find it really interesting to see how everybody sets up things and how they choose to just run the house, you know? I was telling my husband I would love to get one of those clip-on high chairs because as we get more kids, especially staying in this house, you know, the space is quite limited. And so if I can keep from having more high chairs and stuff, taking up table chairs or just space on the floor, I think that's awesome. So if you guys have any recommendations for a good high chair that, or a seat for like a baby where it clips onto a table, do let me know. Well, we are taking a snack break. I pulled out some of Rashida's peanut butter, some of her no-bite cookies. So we're having these for snack, and I think I'm gonna make an oolong tea because I feel like I could use the extra protein. I'm starting to feel really worn down. This morning, I woke up at 5. I don't know if it was a pregnancy thing. I guess I'm pretty determined to mop the floor at least and vacuum the living room. And then I think we'll call it good. I've done more cleaning than typical, so I feel like I've gotten into corners I haven't seen in months, and so that is a very nice feeling. Anyways. Okay, so this oolong tea is really one of my favorites. If you haven't noticed, I feel like I've shared it a lot in YouTube shorts or in videos. It's one of those that's really nice in the wintertime. You can do it as a hot drink or you can do it iced in the summer, which is what I've been enjoying lately. I have found it does seem to be a bit creamier when you do almond milk, when you use almond milk, but oftentimes I'll just use water and then add a little bit of fat in the form of maybe heavy whipping cream or half and half, just trying to be aware of the amount that I add. So just to, if I'm wanting to keep it in a lighter fuel mode or whatever, if you're familiar with Trim Healthy Mama, then that would make more sense. But sometimes, you know, you just want something to drink. You don't want you're not looking for real nourishment, or if that makes sense. So anyways, this drink is really nice just because it gets your metabolism going. Not that I really needed that, but I was really looking for the flavor of the caramel drink and just wanted something cold and tasty, which when you add the caramel extract, it's just amazing. Anyways, on to these squares. Oh, they were so good. They're very, very moist, and I've been thoroughly enjoying them. I think I have like half of that pan left a couple days later, and they're not going to last much longer because they're just so good. You may have noticed earlier in the video there was some banging and stuff going on. My husband was working on a house project with his brother and dad, and so I didn't realize the camera would pick up so much of the sound of them using the hammers and stuff. But when I went to mop, I was thinking I gotta do this as quick as I can because you never know when they're coming in for a break. It's been quite hot, as I mentioned earlier in the videos, and so I was trying to really quick give the floor just a quick mop give it a good once over real quick before they would be coming in for a snack or a break from the heat, and that way it would dry, because didn't really want foot tracks on the wet floor, if you know what I mean. Then after that, I pulled out the vacuum and did a quick vacuum on the floor, trying to pick up those crumbs that inevitably just end up everywhere. Whenever I go to vacuum, I'm always like, why do we let the kids eat bread or eat stuff walking around the house? And then the next time I'm like, here you go, here's your snack. And then I go to vacuum and I'm like, why did I do that now? There's like crumbs everywhere. Anyways, then after that, I went and wiped down a side table. This actually is something that's needed to be wiped down for quite a while. I'll have like a drink or stuff on here, and then my little girl is notorious for knocking stuff over. She comes and I can't tell you how many cups of coffee she's spilled, because she moves pretty fast and she has a very strong grip. So she would reach up and grab the cup before I could even see what was going on. She was just, yeah, she's kind of funny when it comes to things like that. She has a fascination for straws and cups of liquid. So anyways, yeah, I've had to learn the hard way. I'm going to have to clean the rug again because of something she spilled. Anyhow, I went under the piano because there was a bunch of gunk there. I was able to get that cleaned out, and that was the cleaning that I did. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you enjoy this content, I would love it if you subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. Bye!